You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith. Hope you're well. The interview subject I've got coming up for you, it's another good one. It is Morgan Joanel. She's a singer-songwriter based in the great city of Perth. So many wonderful artists over there. She's got a few singles in market right now. We talk about them throughout the conversation. And the better news is she's got an album on the way. I truly love listening to this lady's work. So here she is, Morgan Joanel.
I haven't used Skype in so long. Hi.
We have liftoff. How's things?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for rescheduling for me. I'm just running a busy household here, so you know how it can get sometimes.
Do you know how it can get?
Yeah, I hate having sort of, boom, 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 and then just sort of fit it into here sort of thing, because then the good ideas don't come in those moments, rest assured.
Can't rush it.
Yeah, exactly. What's the day held for you thus far, apart from this interview, of course?
Today I've been doing lots of emails, and I've got a few art commission projects I've been working on. So doing a lot of digital drawing and stuff like that. So, and I just my single just got played on Triple J on Monday. So I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do with that? So that kind of taking that into account and stuff has been keeping me busy.
Triple J, the old beast. I suppose you probably get far more play on community stations and Western Australian-based stations than Triple J, I take it.
Oh, yeah. No one gets Triple J.
Goddamn Triple J. These days, I'm 42, so growing up in the 90s, it was the station.
I know.
And I'm not just saying, I've been at uni, okay? I've just come from being at uni with the 18 to 24-year-olds, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not just me and my generation in inverted commas, but who on earth listens to Triple J anymore?
It's very mainstream, and it's very trend. And there's definitely a box around what kind of works and stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, their program, is it Richard Kingsmill? He used to host some fantastic shows throughout the 90s, but these days it's just...
Yeah, but I just don't think he's the king anymore, you know?
Yeah, oh well. Well, we'll do what we can for you then, insofar as promoting these two singles, because that's what Lee sent through to me. So,
yeah. Ooh, there's three.
Okay.
This one's the new one, but yeah, there's three that have come out in the last year.
So Disappear and Wind Me Up, and what's the name of the third one?
The earlier one was the first one. It was called Buy a Little Time.
Okay, and did you have videos for? I'm sure you had a video for Disappear, but did you have a video for Wind Me Up and the one you just mentioned?
It's coming. It's going to be another art, because the video for Disappear was like animated and stuff that I put together with stop motion with my art. So I'm doing a similar thing for this one.
Yeah, great video, by the way. And I'll tell you what I love about Disappear. Let's focus on that track for a moment, because that's the one I've listened to the most by far, I must say. I love the cadence of the bass drum, which reminds me of a heartbeat. And I love the layered approach to building the song, because that works a treat too. And it almost feels like it's an old school blues number, like a Delta blues number, even though the music isn't anything like that. It gives me that feeling. It evokes that sort of feeling. And I think you've got a tremendous vocal, so congratulations on honing that, because it's very hard to pin down a reference, which is what I normally do for listeners to the podcast. I say, for example, Morgan sounds like such and such. And apart from diving into some country music singers whose names I cannot even recall just from memory listening to songs, I can't suggest to anybody that you really sound like anybody else out there, except that you have enormous power in your voice, but you know how to hold it back. You're not a warbler, thank God for that. So, look, I've said all of that, but what else can you tell us about Disappear? And feel free to dive into Wind Me Up in the other cut as well.
Yeah, well, I like that you picked up like blues kind of vibe. It's not like I grew up listening to Muddy Waters and blues and all of that stuff. It's not like I have that as a back kind of reference. However, I guess naturally always, whenever I do vocals and stuff, it clicks over onto bluesy kind of notes and that soulful kind of vibe. So that definitely has come through on all of these songs. So Disappear was, the last single, and then Wind Me Up. And even though the production on them actually they're quite different, but it all kind of ties together because the vocal brings it all together, and I think that whole getting the vocal into how I want to push and pull it is just from doing, probably 2,000 gigs, and I do live looping and harmonies, and I've actually been singing on stage since I was 5, so it's been really inbuilt. So that's kind of where all that comes from. But yeah, Disappear. I recorded all of the songs here in Perth with Dave Parkin, and the whole EP, so it's a 5-track EP that'll be out before the end of the year with another single. So, they come as a collection, and they're a package of 5 songs, and the whole thing was funded. I did a Kickstarter, so it was really cool. Everyone kind of backed it, even though I hadn't released anything in basically forever. And so the idea, and you find that with the video for Disappear, is that it's a mixture of, there's the music and the vocals and the melody and the story, and then there's my artwork as well, because I'm a visual artist too. So the video aspect of it and the performance side of things, when hopefully we get to start touring a little more, and that physical kind of thing starts to become like a merging of the music and the art, and it's just this whole world that I can I see it, I feel the colors of it, and I make sure that I put that together with the videos. So
yeah, I had this question for later, but let me ask it for you now. Ask you now, because you are an artist that I think will shine in the live arena. And now that you've mentioned these intense visual productions that you'd like to bring with you, when you can play live again, and let's just say that you will definitely be playing live again and we get over this bloody thing that we're all going through at the moment, how do you plan to do that? Do you plan to have a projector behind you where you've got some animations and the like to match the music that you're playing?
Yeah, I'm currently at the moment working on a fringe show, because in Perth, we're lucky we're going to, as far as I know, it's all going ahead for January. So I'm working with a cinema where we're going to do live music in the cinema, and then that will tie in on the actual cinema screen with videos and animations and my artwork and a bit of an interactive kind of thing leading into it. So that's like something obviously quite specific. But if I can bring that idea into smaller shows, I think I'd like to turn it a bit on its head, where instead of trying to fit art and visuals into music venues, because I've found that to be quite challenging, because obviously music venues are dark, they've got a great stage, but they're not set up, to show off visuals and stuff. So I'd really love the opportunity to turn kind of that on its head and activate like art galleries or strange spaces and really change it up. I've been working on some fun stuff with like if there's canvases that are painted with, and I mostly do mandala artworks and then abstract colors and things. But I was playing around with a video projector at home and having like a brightly colored artwork and then having the video projected onto the artwork and actually creating something that looks like it's moving. And I really would love it to be not just a video behind, but a really immersive kind of experience. So it's just about when the right time is. I think the cinema thing for Fringe will be fine because that's what's happening. That's what Fringe is. It's quite straightforward. But the other stuff is going to be fun to experiment, especially when touring.
Oh, God, yeah. What do you use with regards to your artwork? Are you using Adobe programs like Illustrator or are you something else?
No, so I either draw and paint real and in the real world, or at the moment I'm loving working with Procreate on my iPad. And then I do mix all of that kind of stuff if I need to with Photoshop. And then as for editing, I've been really conscious to actually use apps because I really want to be able to share the DIYs and the how-tos by not having to use the extreme kind of editing stuff. So I've just been using, I've got like a stop motion app. And then I think it's Video Leap I've been using quite a lot, and they're all apps. So I kind of wanted to go down that road, which is cool.
Is this the sort of thing that takes up like 10 to 12 hours of your day, just learning how to do things and figuring out the apps? 'Cause I know for me, I use primarily Adobe stuff and a few apps too, but mainly all Adobe stuff. And I feel like I could keep on working on this stuff for a whole lifetime before they start changing the algorithm and an update comes through and then you've got to do things a different way again. So do you find it frustrating working with the electronic side of things, or is it fairly intuitive for you?
I love it. And I love working with the apps because I think what I've found is over the past, 2 years or so, when Instagram really started to become like a lot more videos and stories and stuff, I've just been dabbling at it, for so long that it was kind of natural. And it felt like when I went into because I've only used iMovie anyway, but, and I never wanted to make the jump. Every time I had a video to do, I was like, do I want to make the jump to Final Cut or Premiere Pro or whatever? And I kept thinking to myself, I don't want that learning curve right when I've got to get this video done, blah, blah, blah. I'll stick with what I know. And it's funny because just getting into working with some art stuff, I was doing stuff on my phone and I'd filmed some things from some apps, layered them up in one of these other video editing apps. And I thought, no, I should do this on iMovie. And as soon as I transferred it all, I was just like, oh my God, this can't do anything that I want. And so I went back to the app and put it onto my iPad so I had a bigger screen to work with. So I've actually found it quite easy. But I haven't used the really good editing programs. So I might be missing out.
I reckon I've spent about 10 hours a day, 10 hours today alone on Premiere Pro alone. And it's so powerful. It allows you to do things like every single mistake. It's like getting a metaphorical piece of sandpaper and sanding it down. So every in breath, all this sort of stuff, because it's such a powerful tool that allows you to do that, you do it. I'm still not convinced that's the right way to do things. But yeah.
I'm trying to do that. I'm too much of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. It's been a good learning curve to just go just get onto the apps and just put it out there and
go with the flow.
Yeah.
I think you got a strategy that works for you. Stick to it. Please don't feel compelled to start using more complicated programs like Premiere Pro and Final Cut and the like, because I had to learn it at uni. I was assessed on it actually, and we were really assessed on the rudimentary aspects of it, not necessarily stuff that I'm doing now, but I'm dreaming about it. I'm literally going to sleep and I'm dreaming that I'm using Premiere Pro and Illustrator and Photoshop. and some
But you can do that thing where you put it under the pillow and what is that called? I can't remember, where it's supposed to absorb into
inspires the dreams or what have you. Yeah. It's something that I love, the idea of being able to make films, and actually the person I'm speaking to next is a Finnish filmmaker. So I'll be asking him a bunch of questions about how he's done a lot of his stuff, and he travelled around with a band called Korpiklani to Japan and also Russia. So how do you do things like, they're not little things, they're big things, but the first thing that comes to mind that I'll be asking him is, so you're over there and you record stuff, do you put it up on the cloud because you've got an internet connection, or do you rely on one of these things here, which are notoriously unreliable and can get lost and broken? I mean, this is the stuff that I dream about, as I say, but it's probably just me, and to your point, being a perfectionist about things. And even doing these video things, I'll ask you now if you've done a lot of the video stuff, because I've only switched across to Zoom, and typically I've done almost 600 interviews, and 99%, 95%, I suppose I better say, has been done just over the phone, using Skype and just talking. But I'm finding even this is quite interesting, actually, having this visual interface. And does it work like that for you? Like, does it feel different doing it like this as opposed to just having a conversation over the phone, so to speak?
Totally. Yeah, totally. And I do some things with my artworks and then with music as well, like one-on-ones, where it's kind of like mandala readings and stuff like that. And the difference, even with all of that stuff, the difference between just having audio and visual is it's nice thing. I think there's a lot more people find it easier now to do video and stuff because of the lockdowns and everything that have happened. Absolutely. It's almost like it's just, even though it's been there, maybe we haven't been utilizing it as much, and it's strange. It's like a strange, like inverted kind of thing, but we're getting more connected because videos. I even use FaceTime a lot more, just generally now than I did probably 6 months ago, just because I'm so used to being able to just video call. So yeah, the video stuff is it's really interesting.
Forgive my ignorance here, but mandala readings, what are they?
Because I draw the mandalas, and essentially a mandala reading that I offer them from time to time. It's like if you ever have you heard of vision boards where you kind of get a bunch of images that represent probably things you want,
Sure,
whether
yeah.
it's, like it's kind of like the laws of attraction type stuff. And mandala reading is more about using your own imagination and visualizing. So I chat with people, and as we chat, we kind of center or anchor into if it's whatever they want to manifest, if it's like a job or a record deal or a car or a boyfriend or who knows. I just try and get them to start imagining it. And the whole time while we chat, I draw a mandala as we're chatting, and they just talk, and I kind of just prompt them, and we chat, and I draw, and then I send them the artwork afterwards, and they kind of have that as like visual snapshot of as a reminder of it's all connected in there. So yeah, that's what that is.
That's beautiful, and it's interesting. It's as a tangent. I do tarot card readings. I haven't done any in a while, I've got to say, but I found that there were two questions that kept on coming up. When is my next relationship going to happen? And I want a new job. And after a while, I felt like as I was a counsellor as opposed to a tarot card reader, because sometimes, I mean, I can read, I've got a basic understanding of the cards. It's more intuitive, more based on the energy exchange. As you know what it's like if you're doing the readings. And as soon as someone sits opposite you, and they're typically male, and they don't want to do it because their wife's told them to do it or partner's told them to do it, your energy flow goes flat, and you feel like you feel deflated. You probably understand exactly what I'm saying.
Absolutely, because people have bought like the readings for gifts for people before, and so you can tell people who are like, I'm here because I want it, I know what it is, I'm intrigued, blah blah blah. And then sometimes, I guess with the cards it's good, and because I do tarot readings as well, and when you have that thing, that physical thing you can look at, and it helps prompt everything, but it's still really hard when someone's kind of closed off because you're not getting much. But when I'm trying to like get them to like, so what does this look like, and blah blah blah, and then it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's challenging, but it always teaches you something within your own kind of stuff as well, I find, with that stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. It's something that I'm very careful about how and when I do it these days. I've got to say about how I share my energy around that sort of stuff, because as a kid and growing up, I used to just do it for anybody. And I sort of found after a while that it wasn't as strong. So I sort of pick my moments now, and I find that I'm better for that reason. So I can't remember the last time I did it. It would have been a couple of years ago, to be honest with you, that I last did a reading for somebody. But I distinctly remember that for a period of time, it was just those two questions, one after the other. And other stuff would come up, as you know, and you think, should I tell them about this? And you think, no, it's not really my job. And I'm pretty direct when I give feedback on that sort of stuff. And hey, look, I'm just conscious of time, and I want to find out a bit more about Wind Me Up, because this is your other cut, and it's more of a rocker, meaning it's a bit more upbeat than Disappear. What I got from it was a slight Portishead vibe, not that, again, a bit like the Portishead thing.
I keep getting that. It's not intentional, but as we were creating it, we started realizing that, and that's what people have been saying. Sorry, keep going.
Well, no, I think it's a great cut, and I think it's and please take it as a compliment, because they're incredibly hard to draw inspiration from and actually get right, to be honest with you, because people end up sounding dubby or trip hoppy or what have you. But of course, you haven't done that. You've got a similar vibe or atmosphere in this particular cut here. But my question for you around it is, does it showcase a more intense side of you? Because I'm not getting that vibe from you that you're intense. You seem pretty chilled and mellow, but that's a pretty intense cut.
Yes, no, I am chill and mellow probably half the time. All that power and that intensity comes through probably in performing and stuff. But yeah, with Wind Me Up, that song definitely represents that part. It came together as pieces over actually quite a few years of playing live shows, and because I do the looping, just like a piece with a bunch of harmonies and then another piece, and then as time goes on I would just jam it out, and that song is 100% represents that intensity, that side of things that is like there's the highs and the lows of everything, and that song's kind of like highs and lows of tumultuous kind of lust and love and confusion and just a roller coaster and all that kind of stuff. So that's where that song sits. There's more, definitely more like that, which I'll be recording. I kind of got those more subdued vibes out on this EP, and then that's a bit foreshadowing of where it's going. So.
Awesome. Yeah, okay. And what I've noticed through, you've got a great social media presence, by the way. Congratulations on that. And it's incredibly hard for an artist to get that balance right, but I think you've done it. I mean, you've even got a Pinterest page as well. And I think you
used to be in fashion and blogging as well. So I kind of have like gone through them all, and you take little bits from every industry and see what works, you know?
Well, I just think you've got a very well-rounded approach so that people can get into you. I spoke to a band earlier on, and they've produced a magnificent one-song EP. But they, because we're pretty, I'm kind of a similar mindset, to be honest with you. I just don't like social media. It's just not. I've got to do it. I just look at it as a necessary evil. But they weren't doing it at all, and I had to go through a record company intermediary to have a discussion with them. But yours is actually a model for anybody out there who wants to know how to actually represent themselves and put themselves out there in a way that doesn't come across, you're not like, overbearing, and there's some, but there's a number of ways that you can find you and get into your music, and for an indie artist to have, I think you've got almost 7,000 or 8,000 genuine followers. You haven't bought any of them, and I checked that, to be honest, because it's not that I doubted you, but I've seen a few come through.
Where they come from, that's the thing. Like, and it's strange because I've got that on Facebook and Instagram, and I think over the years, because I've done some different things with music, it's interesting because they're all real and they come from everywhere, like all over the world, and it's really cool. It's very eclectic, the group of people. I can't seem to pinpoint, that type of person that's into my stuff, which is kind of fun because I just do what I do, and people like this part or they like that part, and I kind of think the social media thing is like I just share all the aspects. So some people like some of it, some people don't like other parts, and that's totally fine, Go to another platform then.
Agreed. Hey, I better wind things up, but just on that note, what is your Facebook and Instagram profile or handle or whatever the correct terminology is these days?
Everything is under just my name, so Morgan Joanel.
Good on you. Okay. All right. Well, look, this has been a wonderful conversation. Way too short, to be honest with you, because I feel like there's plenty of things we could have spoken about. I've got to share this with you, Morgan. It always happens to the ones I get talking to some people like yourself and Crystal Ignite, Firestarter artists as well, and we get about 20 minutes in and I've got to go and do something else, and I'm like, it's always with the artists that I wanted to spend more time with. So take that as a compliment.
Andrew, that's really cool. Cheers.
You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. That means I'm Andrew Mackay-Smith because I'm the only bugger that interviews people around here. And that was Perth artist Morgan Joanel you just heard from. Check out his stuff. Thanks so much for listening.